Hi guys, welcome to the Revive Stronger podcast. This is another episode of Ask the Athlete. You guys have really enjoyed these and I massively enjoy talking to a lot of my fellow competitors out there. And today I have Gary Amlinger on the podcast. He is a fantastic guy. We talk kind of across Instagram and things all the time. And he is a fantastic competitor. He's a WNBF professional natural bodybuilder, competed it feels like only like very recently, but I'm sure it feels like ages ago for you now. He gets into tremendous condition, one of the kind of fantastic muscle bellies, insane glutes, hamstrings, and it's very exciting to watch him and see his journey. And I'm very excited to interview him today. He's also a personal trainer. He also does online coaching, and I'm sure there's a lot more to you, Gary. So please go ahead, introduce you, kind of go over some of your background, what you do today, and kind of what got you into the sport.
So yeah, like you said, my name is Gary Amlinger. I'm from Long Island, New York. I've been bodybuilding since probably freshman year of high school. As soon as I touched the weight, I was basically hooked. You know, like that first pump is like the most amazing thing ever. And it just felt very natural for me. My dad wrote me up like a mock training routine, like chest, buys, back, triceps, shoulders, legs. I think everyone's tried that split, especially in the beginning when you're learning. But from there, I was hooked. I went to Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym in Syosset, New York. That's like one of the big meccas in bodybuilding. Really just enjoyed the training. Didn't have aspirations to compete too much until like 18, 19 years old. From there, I did the WNBF Hercules, which is in New York City. I placed second in the teen division that year to a really good teen, actually. I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him compete since then, but he looked unbelievable. He looked like 25, and I think he was 18 and I was 19. It was crazy. But from there, I was still doing the bodybuilding thing. I started boxing a little bit as well. I kind of wanted to try different things out. I did fitness modeling, like a lot of people who get into bodybuilding, some commercial acting from there. But I didn't really start like thinking of really making this like a career till maybe 25. I feel like I kind of hit my peak, or I thought it was my peak. So I actually reached out to Lane Norton, who referred me to the strength guys. Jason Tremblay is the owner of that. So from there, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. And we decided that, we were going to try and turn pro a few years later. It ended up being like, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years. Because I just loved off season. I loved training. I just wanted to put on as much size as I could. So last year was the second time I competed. So I was 30. I'm 32 now. I was 32, and last year as well. It was the INBF Jersey, New Jersey Cup, I believe it was called. Northeast America, INBF Northeast America. I took the overall and the WNBF Pro card there. And then about a month later, I think it was June 2nd, I took second of 12 at the WNBF Pro American. A two-time world champion actually beat me by 3 points. His name is Martin Ortiz. He's about 42 years old. He's a veteran, excellent bodybuilder, unbelievable, well-deserved first place. But from there, since I turned pro and then qualified for Worlds, I decided I'm going to take about 3 years off roughly, and then step on the WNBF World stage, which I deem personally the most competitive and legitimate federation in natural bodybuilding. So I'm looking forward to really stepping on stage and seeing what I could do.
Wow, I can't believe that you've only competed. So you competed at 19 and then didn't compete for
32.
Yeah, absolutely. Over 10 years later.
Crazy. And I've always, I was always into the bodybuilding that whole time, but I guess I just didn't see a career path, or for whatever reason, I just didn't go all in with it. Like I said, I was trying different things. I was trying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I still love, boxing, acting, modeling, all these different things, but I never wanted to let go of bodybuilding. Yeah. And that was like the switch. It was like, okay, so I think I should really go for this because I do have a talent in it. I do have good genetics. I have a feel for the lifts. Like, it just seems right. So I'm like, why not just go for it? And here I am now. I'm looking to, become the best in the world one day. That's my ultimate goal. So
when will it now be with the 3 years off? Will that be 2020 that you'll be competing, or is that 2021?
So yeah, 2021 is roughly when I'll be competing. Um, I don't know if you're the same way, but I really get addicted to the off season and the progression of our physique. I don't really enjoy the cutting as much. Like people say, oh, I want to stay lean all year round. I look good. To me, it's like, but you're not really progressing. Like
Hmm.
I'm in this for the process. So 2021 is the goal roughly, but that might be extended if I
Yep.
feel like I could inch out some more lean tissue, specifically in my back, which is my biggest weak point. That's going to be a priority for till I'm done with this game. Honestly, I think my hamstrings and glutes, like you mentioned, are pretty developed. I think a thicker back would definitely put me, in the medalist placing at Worlds if I could really bring that in, which I have been the past. I don't know how long it's been. It's almost a year since I competed. So I'm actually on a mini cut right now, which is going to be ending pretty soon. I'm about 218. I want to get down to like 215, which is like 23 pounds above stage weight. And then I'll
Okay.
slowly start to reverse diet from there.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really respect the fact that you are, I mean, very honest about the fact that you prefer, I mean, for some reason, bodybuilders seem to be very masochistic and we love cutting and like it's all about contest prep. But when you look from the outside in, you're like, you serious? Like cutting, like what's really going on during that time? You're just revealing what you've actually kind of developed in the off season. And like you said, it takes a very long time to develop muscle, especially at your level now. I mean, you're a pro, you're very advanced. It's not like it's going to be a year and you're going to see dramatic muscle growth. So I really respect the fact that you're like, right, 2021 is like penciled in, but if I'm not quite sold on whether or not I'm going to bring my best yet, I'll leave it a little bit longer. So yeah, I take my hat off for you for that. In terms of kind of your physique and in the off season, you talked about how kind of you don't stay super lean, you allow your body weight to go up. Do you have like a cap in terms of like how high you'd allow your body weight to go up? Like the mini cut kind of came in, was that as a consequence of that?
So I've never really done a proper contest prep until last year to hit that level of conditioning that I did. I was not expecting to be as hungry as I was. And it was, you've done this before. It's a voracious, just violent, almost hunger that will not go away, especially when you hit really low body fat percentages. So I ended up gaining way too much weight way too quickly. And I know this is pretty common among bodybuilders, actually. So I got up to about 241, 242. I want to say about 6 months post competition. So that's what, like 50 pounds above stage weight, which
Right.
is a lot, right? And another note, I've actually been 275
Oh,
before
wow.
at my height. I'm only 5'9". No business
That's
being
huge.
above anywhere near that. So yeah, I do enjoy my eating. I definitely was more tame this time around. 241 was my cap. I felt like my leverages just were not really too hot at that body weight. I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel good squatting, deadlifting. At 218 right now, I feel phenomenal. I'm way stronger
Nice.
than I was at 241. I can move. I'm mobile. It just everything. My energy levels are better. So I'm feeling like 225, 228 is going to be the absolute maximum. And then if I hit that, I'm just coming back down, shed the body fat again, and then reverse. So
Cool.
that's where I'm
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
And again, I respect you for being very open about the fact you like your food and it's difficult post comp. It is a difficult time because,
Yeah.
like everyone talks about, you don't have that goal. Kind of, you do have, and when you get into the condition that you get into, Gary, like the body just wants to regain the fat, and you need to regain some.
Unbelievable.
So you've done a good job into like identifying where you feel good, that kind of sweet spot, and I'm sure that's going to be really productive for you. You mentioned kind of building upon your weakness, which is your back. What sort of things have you implemented for that? Are you getting coached at the moment, or are you kind of taking the reins?
So actually, I was coached around 25, 26 years old by Jason Tremblay until about a year ago. And Ben Escrow is actually coaching
Oh, cool.
with Tremblay, for me. Cliff Wilson did my contest prep. Unbelievable. I have nothing but good things to say about him. He's excellent coach. If anyone, is looking for coaching as well. Ben Escrow and Jason Tremblay have put a lot of muscle and a lot of strength on my physique over the past 6 years. Ben Escrow a year, Jason Tremblay 6 years. Brandon Roberts is doing my nutrition for the off season now. I really enjoy just being an athlete.
Yeah.
and not coaching myself. I coached myself, in quotes, up until I'm 25, 26. It's just nice to leave that to another coach, have him coach me, and just execute in the gym. I really enjoy that. And then like you said, I coach other people, bodybuilders and just general population clients out in New York as well. So I do enjoy just being an athlete. As far as my training goes, I'm actually hitting back and shoulders, which is the main muscle groups I'm trying to bring up, 4 times a week. And then legs and chest is twice a week.
Cool.
My main lifts for back right now is lat pull downs, number 1, a lot of seal rows, incline dumbbell rows, normal dumbbell rows, incline. So I'll actually do bat wing rows where I'm hitting more like upper back. So I'm bringing the dumbbells more out and contracting at the top. But I'll also do normal incline dumbbell rows where I'm externally rotating the shoulder and pulling low for more lower lat tie-in. But those are my main lifts right now. Yeah.
Cool.
That.
No,
Shoulders, a lot of OHP, I'm sorry. Arnold presses, dumbbell OHP, the main, and then side laterals, just pounding away at that.
And what does are you following a kind of 6-day per week split, 5-day per week split? How many days do you train? And would you say, I don't know, in terms of your volume, when we're thinking about kind of the general recommendations, like 10 sets per muscle group per week, are you near that? Are you way above that? It sounds like you're probably maintaining some of your kind of like your legs and your chest, and you're more so like specializing on those shoulders and on the back.
Exactly. You hit it on the head with that. Roughly maintenance volume on legs and chest. For legs, I'm doing a lot of front squats and Romanian deadlifts. Chest, a lot of bench press, incline bench press, using the most amount of weight I can with strict form. I've actually seen some growth in my chest as I lean down, my legs as well. So, I'm getting some growth there too. But it's a 3-on, 1-off split, pretty much. So back delts, core, day 1, legs, chest, day 2, back delts again, day 3, rinse, repeat. And then arms is thrown in, where I believe it's day 1 and day 3, I have arms.
Cool.
As far as my volume is actually crazy. I'm in the gym like 3 to 4 hours a day right now.
Wow.
If I had to calculate it, like today I was doing back and shoulders, I would say 5, 10, 15, about 45 sets total today, which is a lot.
What?
And I'm in the gym 6 days a week. So at this stage of the game, like you mentioned, I need to my volume needs to be real high to continue to grow. Like there's really no way around it. I'm continuing to try and get stronger in the lifts to obviously for progressive overload, but I just need those sets at this point. So, and it's working. I've seen growth in my back the past 6 months, for sure. Like as I lean down, I just feel fuller back there. When you turn around in the mirror, you could see, if there's an actual tissue that grew there. So in my shoulders as well, my traps. So in 6 months, we made good progress with what we're doing. We'll probably continue to do this for a while and then reevaluate soon.
Cool. Yeah, that makes complete sense in that. Obviously, like we said, you're advanced and we know the key driver for hypertrophy is volume. You adapt to a certain amount of volume and you need to find an amount that's going to be enough of a stress to kind of cause you to end up growing. But that is a long training session, so I don't kind of hate you for that. In terms of your nutrition then, do you find your calories get very high during an off season or compared to like contest prep? What does that generally look like? How much are you looking to like gain in terms of like a surplus?
I'm probably all right. So when I was heavier, I was taking in more calories, obviously. Right now I'm taking in about 3,300 and I'm losing about 1.5 to 2 pounds a week.
Wow.
So no cardio, obviously. I didn't do cardio once the entire prep as well.
I'm not surprised on that intake.
It's all through training. Yeah, it's all through training. The only time I did cardio was during peak week, for depletion. That was it. As far as gaining, a healthy rate of weight gain for me, I think is at most 2 pounds a month. Any more than that is going to be more junk weight that I really don't need. So I think that's probably going to be the goal here on out. No more gaining like 4 pounds a month, like I'm a beginner.
Yeah.
That's like, I can't do that anymore. So.
And in terms of your nutritional approach, do you kind of and you could probably talk about prep versus off season. Do you have like a meal template that you follow, or are you very much like flexible dieting? How do you kind of do your nutrition?
So it's usually roughly 4 to 5 meals a day, both contest prep and off season. I try to make sure I get at least 40 to 50 grams of protein per meal for maximum muscle protein synthesis. Soft guidelines would be at least 2 to 3 servings of vegetables a day and 1 serving of fruit. Obviously, lean proteins and quality like whole grain, complex carbohydrates. So that's really it, honestly. As far as contest prep versus off season, doesn't really change much. I'll add more volume type foods during prep just to keep me full, especially like toward nighttime when I'm about to sleep, because I don't like going to sleep hungry. Like before training, I don't want to be hungry, and then before sleep. Any other time during the day, that's fine. I'll be as hungry as whatever. So I really try and I don't know if you see my YouTube videos, but I'll have like pounds of vegetables right before I go to sleep and as much fat as I could get in there to really slow the digestion. And same thing with pre-workout, just really no vegetables, actually just fruit, fruit and like peanut butter to really slow the digestion, like I said. But I save like most of my vegetables like toward the nighttime. Even now on a mini cut, I'll do the same thing. But off season, just like less volume foods if I'm not hungry. That's really the only difference, I would say.
Okay.
Protein's a little higher during prep, especially as I get leaner. Yeah, there's nothing, not too much changes.
Cool.
Not too much changes, yeah.
In terms of like supplementation, do you take a lot, or are you very kind of sparingly kind of taking things? What do you focus on there?
The staples. So just whey protein, a good pre-workout, vitamin D3, omega-3 fish oils. I'll take a multi, even though I don't feel it's needed if you're really getting in enough whole foods and vegetables and fruits, but I'll take it anyway. BCAAs, and that's really it.
Creatine? I was going to say, I'm sure you take creatine.
I forget that. That's the best thing we could take. I'm actually taking about 7 grams a day now. Creatine, I swear by, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's really it.
Yeah, it's nice. I always like asking because some people really like to kind of take a lot of them, other people taking less. So it's nice to hear from someone who is obviously, you've taken your physique to this level and you don't focus too heavily on that, and you keep your diet pretty tight during the kind of off season. You don't take it as an opportunity to just go kind of wild. A lot of people just kind of do the if it fits your macros and take it a little bit too far, but you have that nice control over your diet there as well, which is really nice to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
As you mentioned peak week, and I think probably some people's ears pricked up, and obviously you had Cliff Wilson as your coach for kind of contest prep and obviously peak week, and he's very well known for that. How did that look for you? If you wouldn't mind kind of just going over what it was like, how you felt about it, obviously the depletion, and then kind of, I don't know if you had a rapid backload or not.
So the depletion really obviously was a lot of vegetables, meats, and high fat for the depletion. Low carbs, obviously. And I had a rapid backload. I believe it was Friday and Saturday. Saturday was show day. And I think I took in roughly 1,200 grams of carbs throughout that backload. So that's really like the general consensus on that. Yeah.
And do you feel, have you had different peaking approaches kind of earlier in, I don't know, even in that competition season, or have they always gone as smoothly? What's been your experience there?
So at 19, I had the worst peak week ever.
Oh no.
It was basically like the sodium dehydration type manipulation that didn't work, made me look horrible. That was my only other experience. So going to Cliff and have him do what he did for me, I was in heaven. I'm like, wow, like my physique, I really felt like looked as good as it could have.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we really could have done much else. Everything was on point. I think I dieted down for a year for this. Right. Nice and slow. I feel like my muscle was just there. I feel like I didn't lose any, and that's just anecdotal, but I felt amazing. Yeah. Fantastic. So I was very appreciative for Cliff, very attentive coach, and we dialed it in for both shows. The pro qualifier, I was 192. I believe I was like 190 at the WNBF Pro American. So we even tightened it up even more that next month into the pro show, which was awesome.
Nice. And with that long contest prep, did you have any breaks in that, or were you using refeeds, any diet breaks, anything like that? Or was it just, I'm assuming it wasn't straight linear, but it could have been?
I think I had one diet break, maybe brought up to maintenance calories for like a couple weeks. Refeeds were usually about 2 a week.
Okay.
About 2 a week, yeah.
And
definitely enjoy the refeeds. Like, like when you're eating low calories and then all of a sudden we could eat all these carbs. It's amazing. But the day after or later that night, you get so hungry, as you know.
Yeah.
With the refeeds, yeah.
It's kind of like a flicker of a light, and then it's just taken away from you. You're back in darkness of the diet.
It's amazing. Yeah, I have so much respect for bodybuilders. Like people who've never really have been in the sport, they might think it's vain. Maybe for some people it is. For me, this is a sport. Like I'm not interested in looking good at the beach and if people want to, that's fine. But this really is a sport to me. And when you really look at like the nuances of like how to execute the sport at a high level, it's very, very difficult. And I have so much respect for everyone that goes into the sport.
Yeah, I love that. And I'd love to hear some of the kind of positive things that you've the journey has kind of led to, kind of character development. What kind of some of the things that you've learned from doing the sport of bodybuilding? I'd love to hear about that.
Well, it teaches you discipline. It teaches you that being uncomfortable is okay in the pursuit of, achievement. I think, people don't really talk about this much, but pain and suffering is a prerequisite to getting what you want in life, whatever that may be. And bodybuilding really teaches you to delay gratification. That's very hard for most people. It's hard for everybody, really. But to be mentally strong enough to delay gratification and in the pursuit of, your goals is probably the biggest thing that bodybuilding has taught me.
Yeah.
Ryan Doris talks about that a lot. You should check out his YouTube channel, all you guys, if you haven't. He's a great mind in this industry as well. He talks a lot about this. And actually, as I was getting started with Lane Norton and then Jason Tremblay, I was watching a lot of his videos, and he has some like nuggets of wisdom on his YouTube channel for sure. So, and that's one of the things he mentioned. And as I grew with the sport, now I'm really starting to understand what he was saying, because he was a veteran, but way before I started. So yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, I mean, I always say it's like a sport of delayed gratification, and everyone dislikes delayed gratification. Like, who likes delayed gratification? You only like it when you get the gratification. The rest of it sucks. So, and I agree, Ryan is a great mind. I think we've had him on the main podcast twice, and he thinks of things in a way that you would never think to think about them. And then once he says them, you're like, now I get you. I know, I see where you're coming from.
Right.
In terms of like other things outside of bodybuilding, are you all about bodybuilding? Everything you do, you're kind of 100%, that's what you focus on? Or do you have like, I don't know, girlfriend, or I don't think you're married, maybe you're married, or outside hobbies or anything? Are there other things that you do to kind of keep you somewhat like sane? Or is it all about bodybuilding and you're kind of, not that you wouldn't be 100% committed outside of that, but do you have other things going on? What kind of other things do you enjoy?
Well, I do enjoy coaching a lot, and I enjoy training, like I said, my general population clients here in New York. I get a lot of fulfillment out of doing that. Bodybuilding, as you know, I mean, I love that, just more than anything, really. Between training and doing that, I'm a happy person, and I'm dating. I'm not married, I'm single. A lot of family time, family reunions. Going out with my friends, things like that. Other hobbies, I'm actually thinking of getting into. It's hard to really get into another sport while doing bodybuilding, so I might hold my tongue on that. I know Nsima Inyang, the Natty Professor, he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think he's powerlifting and bodybuilding. How he does everything is just unbelievable. So that's like inspirational, like seeing someone do that. But I do have a wrestling background, and I do miss that. I think about it often, but I really feel like you need to focus on one thing at a time, especially if you have the audacity to think you're going to be the best at something. So we'll see. But travel is something that I actually want to start doing more.
Really cool.
I actually trained John Scarce for a YouTube celebrity match in UK, Manchester. I was there last summer, I believe it was. So traveling, there and visiting Manchester. It just kind of like sparked something in me, like, oh, I actually want to travel more and kind of, explore the world a little more.
Yeah.
So that might be another thing that I start venturing out into as well.
Yeah, I like that. And I think it's, so long as you're not ignorant to the fact that, like, I don't know, it's not necessarily a sacrifice. I'd never say it's a sacrifice that you're kind of all in on bodybuilding, but you know what you're doing, and you know that's why you're being specific towards the sport. And Ryan talked about it when he came on. He was kind of like, I could go all in on bodybuilding and I could be better than I am, but it's not what I want to do. Like, I don't derive enough kind of like, I don't know, gratitude from doing the sport. So I think it's really cool to hear that you're like, I just know this is what I want to do. And I think if you're spending that many hours in the gym, like almost 6 days a week, you probably don't have little extra energy to put into other sports. So that's really kind of like, I can respect that. And you're at a high level, so I can see why you'd want to put all of that in.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. There's a lot of people with talent, right? But the work is really what separates. There's so many people with talent. Like, I was just talking to someone at the gym today who I'm friendly with. I mean, he just has such a good physique, and he's like 22, and he works out like 4 days a week. It's like, if he really put in the work that I'm putting in for like 5 to 10 years, I don't even know what he would look like. Like, so it's the work that separates. And I just decided that I feel like I'm better at this probably than anything else. And I love doing this more than anything else, for sure. So I'm like, I want to make sure I fulfill my potential in this area of life before I can't do this anymore. Because I'm 32, which is young for bodybuilding roughly. But you really never know when that ends. So I just want to make sure I'm taking full advantage, and I could always do other things afterward. Yeah. So that's really my mentality.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And you're right in that the guy that unfortunately beat you recently was quite a bit older, and the best bodybuilders are that age. So
exactly.
It is a mature sport. In terms of kind of things that you would say, errors you made in the past potentially, or things you'd say to new competitors who are looking to get into the sport, what would you kind of give them as like big tips, things to maybe avoid and things to seek out?
It's a great question. I made a lot of mistakes, especially early on. I think we all made mistakes, beginning, and when you begin something new, you're going to make mistakes. That's kind of, so I think mitigating those mistakes as best as possible by a lot of self-research and following people who really know what they're talking about. And I know that's hard to kind of differentiate with all the crazy information we have now. So finding like quote unquote mentors, maybe even look into a coach early on for whatever sport you really decide to go into. Having that experienced, intelligent eye early on can be very game changing for people. That could avoid, a lot of plateaus, but also injuries. A lot of people get injured early on because they just don't know how to train properly. So I would say finding good mentors and or coaches who really are reputable in your field is probably the number one thing. I mean, mistakes I've made, I was always real good with form. So I would say my form is always pretty damn good, thankfully. But I was always that isolation guy in the beginning. Curls, flies, 20 sets of this, like being in the gym for 4 hours a day after wrestling practice, like thinking that more is better.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say, especially for beginners, like focus on the compounds. Compound lifts are so amazing in the beginning for you because you're just going to get the biggest bang for your buck right off the bat. You're going to be able to use the most weight and the most muscle mass, which is tremendous, especially in the beginning. You don't need to be in the gym for like 3 hours when you're just starting out. If you just focus on just compound lifts like 3 or 4 days a week for 3 to 6 months, you'll be surprised how strong and big you get just from that. You don't need the fluff, flies, and, like incline dumbbell curls and things like that. So I would say really get good at the squat, bench, deadlift, pull-ups, rows, and things like that is definitely a good way to go.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. And I think the advice of getting an early mentor, potentially even getting a coach, is excellent advice. I think of someone who automatically comes to mind just because he's kind of big in our space, or is Matt Ogus, and you saw him with Eric Helms, like quite early in his career, and it made a huge difference and his knowledge exploded. And you think if you can find someone like that who can kind of nourish your kind of results early on, then you'll just flourish moving forward. And like you said, you're a coach yourself, you know exactly almost what you need to do, but having someone to take the helm, kind of have that objective view from the outside in, can sometimes be just so relieving and allow you to focus on getting the job done rather than thinking about, oh, I've got all my clients and also I'm a client. So I can see how kind of it's kind of relieving to have that as well.
Right. 100%. Yes.
In terms of if people want to kind of follow your journey for getting ready for maybe 2021 or maybe in future years, I know you said, I don't know if you're still uploading to YouTube, but you have kind of old YouTube videos where people can definitely check out kind of your journey to stage and things like that. And I know you're over on Instagram. Are these the best places for people to reach out to you, or where should people head?
Absolutely. So just Gary Amlinger is my tag on Instagram. And you can just type in Gary Amlinger on YouTube. I'll pop up right away. Or you could type in the letters NRG Genetics, one word, in YouTube. That's the channel name. So you type that in. And I documented, both competitions actually, for my posing, my eating, my training. So if you ever wanted to get like a gist of, someone coming from an amateur to a pro and then placing, top 3 at a pro competition, definitely check out, those social media outlets. Also, I'll be documenting worlds. I stopped uploading to YouTube, but I will document worlds. And probably before that, I'm kind of taking a break from YouTube for now. I'll still post on Instagram once in a while, but those 2 channels for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. I'll make sure that's all linked below. And I think that'll keep people plenty busy and give some people some motivation for their preps if they are prepping. So I want to say thank you very much, Gary. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you soon.
Thank you, Steve. Take care.